All righty. Well, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I hope everyone's summer and grant year are off to a great start. For those of you I haven't met, I'm Caroline McKinney, and I'm the Nutrition Innovation Director with the Nutrition and Aging Resource Center, where I manage the Innovations in Nutrition Program and Services grantee, or commonly referred to as INU grants, for ACL and the Nutrition and Aging Resource Center. To get started, our agenda for today includes an overview of the detailed agenda, walking through the detailed agenda itself, and we will of course leave time for Q&A at the end. In the first year of your grant, we will have monthly calls. You should have recently received an email notification from Danita D-Rod, NRCNA Administrative Assistant, regarding a reoccurring time for this call. Your TA liaison will be on your monthly calls. This person is Jocelyn Evans, Ashley Danielson, or myself. Additionally, the Administration on Community Living Project Officer, or commonly referred to as ACLPO, will join for some calls, but will specifically be present for monitoring calls, which take place semi-annually throughout your grant life. Of note, the meeting frequency of your grant may change as you move through each year. Usually, grantees in their second year meet bi-monthly or every other month, and grantees in their third year meet quarterly. Meeting frequency, however, is dependent upon your grant progress. Each meeting will focus on grantees updating ACL and the NRCNA on grant progress. You'll see how we break this down in the next coming slides. In addition to what you submit on the detailed agenda, the NRCNA TA liaison adds additional notes during the call. Essentially, these are meeting minutes, as each detailed agenda becomes the official record of meetings and is uploaded to the official file within Grant Solutions. Please note that the detailed agendas are due 3 business days in advance of each of our meetings to the ACLPO and the NRCNA TA liaison. This just ensures we're all best prepared for each call and make the most out of our time together. Your first detailed agenda will be due ahead of our upcoming call in July. All right, so now that we've gone through some of those basics, we'll dive into each piece of this detailed agenda. So I'm going to be walking through each piece of this as a screenshot, but please note that this template is one Word document combined. The red text throughout the document are examples. So please go ahead and remove all of that red text prior to submission of your monthly detailed agendas. The header information that you see here is pretty self-explanatory, which includes listing the grant year in which your grant started. So for you all, this is going to be 2023. The formal organizational name that received the grant, the total length of the grant period. So for replication grantees this year, this is going to be May 1st, 2023 to April 30th, 2026. And for our research grantees, this is May 1st, 2023 to April 30th, 2028. Next is the budget periods. So budget periods are 1 year in length. So please keep this updated with the budget period you are currently in. So for you all at this time, that's going to be May 1st, 2023 to April 30th, 2024. Next is the listing of your program officer, or again, the ACLPO. For everyone in this cohort, it will be Judy Simon. Your grant program is, of course, the Innovations in Nutrition Programs and Services. And for the grant number, please only indicate the 2 numbers in front of the word INU and the 4 behind it. We sometimes get people adding additional numbers, as you'll see here in the example. And you may see those additional numbers associated with your grant, but please leave those off for these agendas. Finally, indicate the type of grant you've received, whether that be research or replication. The next section is regarding introductions and announcements. So here, the NRCNA TA liaison will document who is present on each call and let you know of any announcements you should be aware of. This is also a great space for you to provide your own announcements. Examples may include listing the names of new staff and contact information, or alerting us to any changes with grant staff or personnel. Next are programmatic updates. This first section refers to current program activities and indicates what happened between our last call that we had and our current call, which is a 1 month period of time at this time. So for your first call in July, please indicate what has happened since May. For your August call, complete what has happened between your July and August call. In the first column, you're going to list objectives from the work plan that were addressed within the month. Here, you do not have to list every single objective from your work plan unless you worked on it within the month. In the second column, you're going to be listing key tasks that you worked on or addressed within the month that correspond to the appropriate objectives. Please provide details here and be descriptive by identifying specific tasks, activities, dates of meetings, and quantifiable information. In the third column, you're going to state if you're on track with the work plan or not. If in compliance, please state that. Or if you're not in compliance with the work plan, please indicate that as well and explain why your plan to get back on track and when it will be achieved. So let's walk through this first objective together so you get a feel for what this could look like with your own project. So the first objective here in the first column reads, establish a restaurant partnership infrastructure in the Elderbridge AAA and NEI 3A region. Key tasks since the previous call that are listed in the second column include meeting with NEI 3A staff to discuss potential restaurant addition to the program on May 13th, hosted an informational booth at a local restaurant chapter for restaurant owners to learn more about the program and ask questions on May 20th. There are currently 10 contracts maintained by the Elderbridge in 10 counties, and updated the guidebook to reflect best practices and lessons learned. Highlights of this include updating marketing materials, expanding a section on managing meal costs, and addition of sustainability recommendations, which includes a letter template for outreach to public officials. In the third column, you'll see that this objective is in compliance as work is on track within the outlined work plan. So as you can see, these examples provide dates of meeting, quantifies information, and provides specific tasks that were carried out within this last month. Let's continue to look at a few examples for this first section. Okay, so these examples will provide you with a little bit more context on what your detailed agenda may look like if your work is out of compliance with the work plan. So again, in that first column, we have a new objective, objective 2, develop a flexible approach to congregate meal service delivery mechanisms to target and outreach to 2 generations of older adults. In the second column, again, we have key tasks that correspond to that specific objective that were worked on within the month. So met with advertising agency to market the program in the local newspaper. Plan is to advertise in the local newspaper for 2 days in August, 4 days in September. The exact dates will be determined and shared during the next meeting. Team was supposed to market the program at the local farmers market. However, the market has been canceled for the year due to limited attendance. The Iowa Department on Aging registered dietitian assisted both AAAs in developing menu choices for new Iowa Cafe sites. Due to supply chain issues, substitutions were identified in order to meet requirements. In the third column for this objective 2, we provide an example of what this could look like if it was out of compliance. So this reads, the objective is not in compliance with the work plan. We are behind in our marketing efforts by 3 months and expect to complete this task by September 1st. We are planning to have a table at the local farmers market this summer, but have been informed that this will no longer occur this year. Due to this, the team has set up a meeting with a local printing company to obtain a quote for mailing postcards to potential participants. The meeting is scheduled for August 2nd. The hope is that these mailers will replace the marketing efforts that would have been done at the farmers market. Objective 3, again, is a new row within this table. Example here, modernizing a streamlined intake process through technology use. Again, in the second column, we've got the key tasks that correspond. Team delivered iPads to each of the 10 restaurants during the week of 5/18. They taught the owners how to use the iPad and provided print instructions. All new participants received Senior Dine credit cards or keychain style cards. And the Elderbridge AAA received quite a few responses from people wanting contribution statements via email. And then again, in the third column for the specific objective, it has been delayed. So the initial task for this objective was delayed by 2 months as we were waiting for the iPad shipment. The iPads were delivered to 10 restaurants during the week of 5/18, so this objective is no longer delayed. So again, with these examples, you can see the compliance with the work plan column indicates the work is out of compliance, explains why, and indicates the plan to get back on track and when that will be achieved for the grantee team. Okay, so the next section of this one word document of the detailed agenda is for the upcoming month, the future program activities. So the work that is planned for the time between the current call and the next call is what you will complete here. So for you all, in July, this will be set up for what will take place between the July and August call. This table is set up very similar to the first table. In the first column, again, you're going to list only the objectives from the work plan that you plan to address and work on in the coming month. This does not need to be all the objectives from the work plan, of course, unless you plan to work on them within the month. In the second column, again, you're going to be listing those key tasks that you plan to work on or complete in the coming month that correspond to the specific objective. And in the third, please let us know if this is in compliance or out of compliance with the work plan, similar to the first table. So here we'll read through these first two examples to give you, again, just a better idea, further examples of the information we're looking for here. So that first objective is the same as in the first table, establish restaurant partnership infrastructure in the AAA regions. Here we have in the second column, a meeting is scheduled with the Elderbridge staff to discuss the addition of Bob's Diner to the restaurant program, which will occur on May 19th. For NEI 3A AAA, the goal is to have a site in Black Hawk and Waterloo counties by June 1st. And they have a meeting with a potential restaurant site in Dubuque to discuss becoming part of the program. That meeting is set for May 30th. Again, in the third column, as far as compliance, an example here, the objective is not in compliance with the work plan. The meeting with Bob's Diner was to take place 4 months ago. Due to staff illness and PTO, this did not occur. Once this meeting occurs with Bob's Diner and discussion of logistics are underway, this objective will again be in compliance with the work plan. Completion of Elderbridge partnership anticipated by July 15th. And then the second example here, objective 2 in the first column, developing a flexible approach to congregate meal site delivery mechanisms to target and outreach to 2 generations of older adults. The second column, again, key tasks. Iowa Department on Aging continues to work with AAAs to identify menu choices and appropriate substitutions given the unforeseen supply chain issues. The Iowa Department on Aging is meeting with Elderbridge nutrition staff on July 3rd to review the menu draft. And they will meet with NEI 3A nutrition staff on July 5th to review the menu draft. Again, an example of the compliance with the work plan in the third column. This specific objective is delayed by 2 months due to unforeseen supply chain issues. The IDA registered dietitian has had to make substitutions in menu planning, which has taken more time than anticipated. 3 out of the 4 menus are complete. Once the 4th menu is complete, this objective will be in compliance with the work plan. We estimate this to be on July 13th. Again, you can see that the information is detailed, informative, and explains plans for the upcoming month. The next section of the detailed agenda is the quantitative summary of goals. Overall, in this table, we're looking at the progress of your work within the reporting period compared to the life of the grant. So let's break this chart down column by column. In the first column, please list the overall goal or goals of the project as well as the objectives from the work plan. These are those high-level project goals and objectives. Unlike the first 2 tables, we are looking for all the goals and objectives here from the work plan, despite if you worked on them or addressed them within the last month. In the second and third columns, we're addressing that quantifiable information. So let's look at objective 1 as an example. So objective 1 notes the goal number of restaurant sites is 18 over the life of the grant. You'll see that number 18 in the third column, the goal counts if applicable. In the second column, you'll notice the number listed, you'll notice the number 7, which indicates this grantee currently has 7 restaurant sites. Also, if you have goal numbers listed by year or perhaps month, you can indicate that, meaning you can break it down by grant year or month, as well as over the life of the grant. This will, of course, look different for everyone pending your grant application and your work plan. So this leads us to the 4th column. The 4th column, we would like you to list your percent completion towards the goal in this reporting period over the life of the grant. An example of calculating this could be the completed counts divided by the goal counts. Again, for objective 1, this is how we arrived at the 38%. As you are getting started, it is likely your percentages are quite low, perhaps even 0, but as you continue through the life of your grant, these numbers should grow. In regards to determining the percent completion towards goal, you may find the resource regarding Gantt charts that we're dropping in the chat helpful. I'll also be sure to share this resource in my follow-up email with the recording and PowerPoint. In the last column, to the far right is the notes section. Here, we would like you to continue to quantify your information as able. If information about your grant is difficult to quantify, then please describe the status. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and walk through the chart and examples so we better understand this information here. And thank you, Ashley, for dropping the Gantt chart link in the chat here. So first we have the project goal. This is the overall project goal for this grant. The goal of the project is to modernize Iowa's congregate meal program infrastructure, delivery mechanisms, and outreach to increase the number of consumers and meals served. The second and third column are not applicable for this project for this specific goal. In the 4th column, you see we have 37%. We arrived at this number by adding each objective's percentage complete and dividing by the total number of 4 objectives. You can also see that math in the notes column to the far right. For this project, the notes section is descriptive in nature for this project goal. So again, we've got IDA and AAAs are working towards meeting the goal as evidenced by the Iowa Cafe development in the Northern Iowa region with 2 AAAs and participation in the program. Beneath that, you see the math for how we arrived at the 37% in the 4th column. Another example here, objective 1. This reads, establish a restaurant partnership infrastructure in the Elderbridge AAA and any I3A service region. Goal restaurant sites are 18 over the life of the grant. So here within that second column, completed counts, we've got 7 restaurants currently. Our goal counts, again, over the life of the grant are 18. So in that fourth column, percent completion towards goal within this reporting period over the life of the grant, we've got 38%. And in that last notes column, you see quantifiable information. So here it was broken down Elderbridge restaurant sites by month. In January, we had 1 restaurant site addition. February, we had 4. March, we had 1. So our total sites in Elderbridge are combined to 6. And in the other AAA region, we just had 1 restaurant addition in March. So a total of 1 for that AAA, but overall a total of 7. So that's where we wound up with our 7 out of our 18 for a goal. Okay, this is the rest of that quantifiable table to show you further examples here. So objective 2, I won't read this objective here, but I do want to note that the goal participants registered is 500 over the life of the grant. In that second column, we're at 125 participants registered out of that goal of 500, which is how we arrived at the 25% complete. And in the fourth column, we have information here to describe that. And then we broke down that 125 participants by AAA. So in Elderbridge, we have 50 people. In EI3A, we've got 75 people. Total participants registered, 125. Objective 3, we can see that the goal senior dine credit cards or keychain style restaurant cards are 500, again, over the life of the grant. You see very similar math within the second, third, fourth columns, and then that descriptive information, but quantifiable within the fourth column. Objective 4. This objective reads, identify seniors who may be food insecure, socially isolated, and rural, and providing nutrition education. The second and third columns weren't applicable, but the fourth column, percent completion towards goal, is 60%. So we arrived at this a little bit differently. So we had 10 tasks within our work plan that needed to be complete in order to achieve 100% of this objective. We have completed 6 tasks at this time, which is how we arrived at the 60. Again, you can see we also went into more detail above that descriptor to provide a little bit more information. The next section of the detailed agenda is the program and challenges. Here we are looking for any anticipated or potential challenges that may warrant a change in your work plan. If you don't have any anticipated challenges, please indicate that. But if you do, please indicate the specific challenge and provide detail. The examples here include, of course, the no potential challenges at this time, or recruiting is going slowly. We're considering pushing back the date of our nutrition education workshops launch by 6 months, which would mean starting in September rather than March. And we plan to have an internal team meeting about this in February to formulate a plan, and we'll be prepared to share an update at our next monthly meeting. The example listed here provides the problem, period of time, and plan moving forward. This next section will only be completed for monitoring calls, which take place semi-annually. As a reminder from the kickoff call, you will have a semi-annual report due every 6 months. So after you turn in that report, you have a monitoring call, which is very similar to our usual monthly calls. And we will also discuss this information. So please be sure to completely fill in this information for each of those calls. If it is not a monitoring call, I would encourage you to just leave these in the agenda as placeholders so it alerts you to complete them when it is a monitoring call month. The first 2 sections you will list, or you see here, you're going to list highlights and challenges from the semi-annual report. And the last section is regarding sustainability. So here you will indicate your grant's efforts regarding sustainability. A few examples we provided to you include, we've created a letter to share with our partners that outlines the ways in which they can continue to work with us after the project period has ended. See attached. Would also like to discuss this during the call. So this extra document was sent along with the detailed agenda to ensure that we have a discussion about it during the call. And we created a letter template for the AAAs to utilize for outreach to public officials in order to support continued funding for this project. All right, and last but not least of the agenda is the technical assistance section. So as a reminder, technical assistance, or TA, you'll commonly hear it referred to as TA, is assistance from the Nutrition and Aging Resource Center. The Resource Center provides support for programmatic issues and can help answer any questions you may have about best practices, research, or challenges in your work. Examples of technical assistance, or TA, may include online tools, educational materials, webinars, tip sheets, research articles, one-on-one support, networking, and peer learning opportunities. Of course, as a reminder, please utilize the INU Grantee Listserv for any questions you might have in order to connect with other grantees. So in this section, please list your questions and requests for TA in a bullet point format. Please provide as much detail and insight as you can so we can look into resources that we have to help address the problem. Communications of this TA ahead of time is very beneficial, which is why we request that you submit your detailed agenda 3 business days in advance of our call. Examples of requests for TA can include any on the screen. So who is my grant management specialist? I need assistance with the payment management system. When's the next semi-annual report due and what's the period of time it covers? What are approved ACL evaluation measures for food insecurity? Can you please provide recommendations of national conferences to attend to disseminate our findings? Please provide us with recommendations regarding recruitment strategies for struggling to find a successful pathway. And please provide us with ideas regarding hiring of a registered dietitian for the project. We've had the job posted to 2 outlets over the past month and have had no interest. So again, providing detail here as best of your ability. Okay. So we made it through the detailed agenda template here, but I just wanted to note a few other items. So as a reminder, we just really want the details of what you're doing. These details really help tell the story about the great work that you're doing from month to month and helps us learn of any challenges that we may be able to assist with. As a reminder, everything you'd like to talk about should be documented to the best of your ability within these detailed agendas. The TA liaisons, of course, add notes while we're on the call, but if you could please note everything that you would like to discuss, that's helpful. Also, feel free to share program materials as you see fit. Examples may include flyers, brochures, or marketing materials, and these can always be sent in addition to the detailed agenda. Additionally, we do have some grantees incorporate an image of their work plan into the detailed agenda to track progress as well. So if that's helpful to you, feel free to do so. You'll see what that may look like on the left-hand side of your screen there. As a reminder, your ACL project officer and NRC and ATA liaison require these monthly agendas 3 business days in advance of our scheduled meeting, and the full report needs to be complete. And of course, I will be sure to share the PowerPoint recording and the Gantt chart resource in a follow-up email. So you have these resources at your fingertips and can refer back to them while creating your first detailed agenda for our July calls. Okay, so prior to opening it up for questions, I do just want to remind you that if you have not completed the Google form regarding listserv requests and a specific call that we'll be having in the fall, please do so by the end of the day, this Friday, June 23rd. So at this point, I'd like to open it up to any questions that you may have. Feel free to drop those in the chat or just take yourself off of mute. But again, thank you so much for your time and attention this afternoon. I know it's a lot of information in one setting. So at this point, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions.
Hi, Caroline. I'm Stephanie from Catholic Charities. I'm doing the replication grant, and I wanted to ask you about the template that you were using, because I just went into the link and it's not letting me have access. So maybe we will have that in an attached document for us to use.
Yeah, thank you for your question. So the agenda, the template that I just shared, I will be sharing that with an email to all new 2023 grantees, along with the PowerPoint that I've shared. And then you'll also receive the recording in case you want to go back and listen to anything we've covered today. I don't believe we have the link to this in the link to the detailed agenda that I shared in the chat here, but I'll be sure to get it to you through email.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions here?
Caroline, there's a question in the chat that I'll just read aloud for everybody, and then it'll be on the recording as well. Alicia, thank you. Alicia asked if we will get confirmation regarding the listserv. You will. I did commenting on those links in the chat. The first one is the Gantt chart, just a good example of what to use for, finding those percentages that Caroline covered. The second link is the Google form that we have asked you to complete by the end of the day on Friday, the 23rd, regarding signing up for the listserv and our a call in the fall, depending on what grant model you have. But when that is completed and we have everybody that's responded, we'll add those people to the listserv and you will get a confirmation as well.
You'll also receive an additional email from Ashley and I with a netiquette document regarding the listserv. So you'll receive a couple notifications from us. Yeah, thanks, Ashley. All right, I'll give it another maybe minute or so. But if not, we're done a bit early.
So I have a quick question. This is Jackie from Department for the Aging in New York City. I noticed we have a meeting tomorrow as well. I'm just curious, is that for all the research folks, or is that, like, I wasn't sure what that was.
Yeah, hi, Jackie. Thanks for your question. So are you referring to the NU grantee gathering tomorrow at 2 Central, 3 Eastern?
Yeah, I think so. Let me just take a look. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that NU grantee gathering, those are monthly gatherings that the NRCNA created. It came as a request from grantees to network, share ideas, learn a little bit more about the grant project or a specific topic. So you are all invited, of course, to join those monthly calls. They take place on the 4th Thursday of the month from 2 to 3 Central, 3 to 4 Eastern time. And if you haven't already received the calendar invitation, we share that via email. So we don't send out the specific calendar invitation, but instead the link to the Zoom information. Those grantee gatherings are voluntary, but we of course encourage you to come.
That's the one for everyone, including the previous one, right? Is that right?
Yes.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So if you're a previous grantee, if you're a
Yeah.
new grantee and current, so everyone's welcome to join that call.
That's what I thought. Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Jackie.
I just dropped the link to the grantee gathering tomorrow that Jackie was asking about if anyone else is interested in attending, and you can add it to your calendar.
Perfect. Thank you, Ashley. And that reoccurring calendar, feel free to add that specific information to your own personal calendar so that you have it on there for those. Looks like we've got 7 more occurrences for the year. I do send out a informational email prior to those NU grantee gatherings. So you know who the speaker is or what the topic is and what the plan is for those calls. Okay, any other questions in the chat here?
I don't see any others in the chat, Caroline.
All right. Well, very good. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. I'll, of course, send out this information via email. If you have any questions that come up, please feel free to reach out to us and look forward to seeing you all on our calls in July. Thank you and have a great afternoon.